First COVID vaccine for children above 12 approved in India. Zydus Cadilla's vaccine gets emergency use authorization. Rise above compulsions 2024 is the ultimate goal, say opposition leaders. Sonia Gandhi chairs an opposition meeting. Mamta, Pawar, Uddhav, Stalin and Soren attend. Kejriwal, Mayawati and Akhilesh stay away. I can't read the reality of the digital divide. In Jharkhand, schools are shut. There's no smartphone access. Even children in class 5 say they have forgotten how to read. And a preview of the Mumbai-Nagpur Expressway, which when completed will reduce the journey between the two cities from 16 to 8 hours. Hello and welcome to NDTV 24/7. I'm Rohit Wellington. Our top story: the first COVID vaccine for children above 12 has been approved in India. The drug regulator on Friday approved Zydus Cadilla's 3-dose vaccine for emergency use in adults and children aged 12 years and above. This is the 6th vaccine authorized for use in India. Apart from India's first COVID vaccine to be available for people above 12 years, this vaccine also has many other firsts. For one, it is based on DNA plasmid technology. Secondly, it will be administered using needle-free injection system. And thirdly, it remains stable at room temperatures for 3 months. This is also a 3-dose vaccine given on day 0, day 28 and day 56. The vaccine called ZyCoV-D is the second homegrown shot to get emergency authorization. And Prime Minister Modi tweeted, India is fighting COVID-19 with full vigor. The approval for the world's first DNA-based ZyCoV-D vaccine of Zydus is a testimony to the innovative zeal of India's scientists, a momentous feat indeed. Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Friday met his Qatari counterpart Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani during his stopover in Doha. Sources say that Jaishankar's halt in Qatar was previously unscheduled and was decided upon in just the last few days. The minister tweeted that he had useful exchange of views on Afghanistan. And sources say that a special Air Force flight is ready for evacuation mission and will operate as soon as enough Indian nationals are able to move to Kabul airport. Let's go across to Vishnu Shom for more on this. Vishnu, what more details can you share with us?
Well, this is certainly very welcome news for any number of Indians who are looking to get back into the country. The government continues to be very focused on finding a way of getting them out. An Indian Air Force C-17 transport aircraft has been positioned to fly into Kabul in order that several hundred Indians in this flight can actually be evacuated. This is after it became clear that operating an Air India flight into Kabul would be difficult because of the absence of ground handling facilities. When this flight will operate, we do not know the exact time. It could be very, very soon. It really depends on the number of Indian nationals who make their way to the airport, number one. Number two, Indian officials are working very closely with American officials who are manning the airport at Kabul International to ensure that the aircraft can come in and pick up Indian nationals. So this could happen, in a very short period of time. It really depends in a fluid situation on how many Indians get to the airport. We are also learning at this juncture that there may be approximately 400 odd Indian nationals who are looking to come back to the country, so ways will ultimately be found to ensure that they get back as well. But there would be a larger number of Afghan nationals who would have applied for visas. Those visas are being assessed by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and so that's something that the government is independently looking at. The priority right now is to evacuate Indian nationals, which is why this Indian Air Force aircraft stands ready.
All right, Vishnu Shom, we'll leave you there. Thanks very much for joining us with those details. Back home, some political news now. Opposition parties must rise above their political compulsions and set aside personal interests to unite against the BJP. That's what various leaders said at a meeting called by Sonia Gandhi on Friday. The Congress president urged the opposition to plan systematically for the 2024 national election and work together, stressing that there was no other option. At the 19-party meeting, she said that we all have our compulsions, but clearly a time has come when the interests of our nation demand that we rise above them. Arvind Gunasekar has more.
The Congress chief Sonia Gandhi has given a clarion call for the opposition parties to come together to take on BJP in the 2024 general elections, underlining the unity that was displayed by all these opposition parties in the recently concluded parliament session. Mrs. Gandhi, who is Congress chief, she has also asked for the same outside the house also. In her opening remarks, she has also said that all these opposition parties should systematically plan and work together with a single-minded objective of giving a government to the country that works on the principles, values of freedom movement, and also the values of the principles of our constitution. The very senior opposition leader and also seasoned politician Sharad Pawar also seconded this need for an opposition unity here. He also said that all those who want to save the secularism and also the democratic ethos of our country should work together to ensure that we present a good future for our countrymen.
Now, like many other states, Jharkhand has reopened schools for senior classes, but junior and middle sections have remained shut for almost 2 years now because of the COVID pandemic. For a state with a large number of impoverished areas, many of them Naxal affected, this has meant a significant amount of backlog in the education of children, especially those who go to primary and junior classes. Teachers and parents both feel their children are lapsing into illiteracy.
Shut schools in Jharkhand, one of India's poorest states, and fading hope for children, especially those who attend primary and middle classes. With the COVID pandemic forcing them out of school for close to 2 years, and e-learning next to impossible for most. This recent door-to-door survey by economists Jean Drèze and Ritika Kheda in 4 Jharkhand villages found that 75% of 150 surveyed children could not read a single word. This seems to be a worse outcome from pre-pandemic levels. When a 2018 education report by the NGO Pratham had found that only 30% of class 5 government school students in Jharkhand could read a standard 2 level text. 110 kilometers west of Jharkhand's capital Ranchi, in the Kutmu village of the Naxal-affected Latehar district, among India's most backward areas, 12-year-old government school student Sudhir Kumar, the son of a marginal farmer and a housewife, who was promoted from class 5 to 6 recently, seems to have all but lapsed into illiteracy, unable to even read basic words from his class 5 textbooks. There is no smartphone at home for e-learning.
पहले थी सुबह सुबह उठता था, नहा के स्कूल जाते थे, तो कोरोना नहीं लॉकडाउन जब से लगा है तब से नहीं जा रहे हैं स्कूल। पढ़ाई लिखाई का कैसे होगा, कुछ नहीं होता है पढ़ाई लिखाई। हाँ, पढ़ लेते थे पहले।
अभी क्या दिक्कत हो रहा है?
भुला जा रहे हैं क्या, कोई नहीं है पढ़ाने वाला आसपास। स्कूल खोल के ऐसे ही छोड़ देता था मैडम, अब कहता थे कि खाना बनेगा खा के चल जाना। एगो गुरुजी अथी पोखरी के थे, वही बढ़िया पढ़ाई पढ़ाता था।
5 kilometers away in the Dumbi village, it is a similar story with Neeta Kumari, promoted recently from class 7 to class 8.
क्या पढ़ रही हो? अभी बच्चे लोग कुछ नहीं पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, सब
कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं। अभी
जो पढ़ाई किए हुए थे वो भूल गए।
भूलिए ना, 2 साल हो गए तो क्या है।
70% of Jharkhand's children attend government schools between classes 1 to 8, according to the annual status of education or ASER 2020 report by the NGO Pratham. But shut schools, absent teachers, and no hybrid education models like community or homeschooling amid the COVID pandemic has turned the clock back in a big way.
In Jharkhand, it seems that there are no provisions being made at all for any kind of study. So these offline children have basically been abandoned. The consequence of this is that there seems to be a tremendous loss of what these children have learnt earlier. Now, we are not saying that the normal classes can resume immediately, but we feel that the schools should really reopen. The teachers should at least be present because the teachers have completely vanished.
Once all schools reopen, filling the glaring gaps in the education of children for the past 2 years will be a tough task. With Sanjeev Giri and Harivansh Sharma in Latehar, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
In some other news, one of the country's most ambitious construction projects is nearing completion. One phase of the Mumbai-Nagpur Expressway will become operational by the end of this year. NDTV brings you a sneak peek into the project that will cut the travelling time between the two cities from 16 hours to 8 hours.
The Mumbai-Nagpur Super Communication Expressway, named after the Shiv Sena Supremo Balasaheb Thackeray, this new highway, which is a completely greenfield project, will connect the capital of Maharashtra, Mumbai, with the winter capital of Maharashtra, Nagpur. The current time taken to travel between Mumbai and Nagpur by road is about 16 hours. This highway, which is under construction and is likely to be thrown open to commuters by the end of the year, will cut that distance to 8 hours. One of the key features an 8-kilometer tunnel through the Sahyadris. There are underpasses for wildlife and there is a focus on the carbon footprint.
11,31,000 जो है यहाँ पर ट्री प्लांटेशन होगा. पर्यावरण पर्यटन जो टूरिज्म है उसको भी ध्यान में रखा है.
The government says the project is a game changer and will be partially completed by December. It will cost no more than existing toll roads in the country.
ये बाला साहेब ठाकरे समृद्धि महामार्ग है. ये दिसंबर 2021 में शिरडी तक शुरू होगा. 2022 तक पूरा खुला हो जाएगा. ये लोगों के लिए काफ़ी फायदेमंद है. ये एक्सेस कंट्रोल रोड है.
When tolling will start on the expressway, it will be charged at the rate of ₹1.65 per kilometer for light vehicles, and for heavy vehicles like trucks and trailer, accordingly it will increase.
Nearly 75% work has been completed when it comes to the construction of this fully concrete 700-kilometer long expressway between Mumbai and Nagpur. Authorities say this is one of India's most ambitious infrastructure projects, and it will revolutionize development, with townships being planned all along its alignment. On the Samruddhi Mahamarg, or the Mumbai-Nagpur Expressway, with camera person Praveen G. Rohit, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
That's a wrap on this bulletin from the entire team. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.